Hello and good evening there, folks. A little late show for you here on Midnight's Edge. We were waiting for Doomcock to end, and we had all kinds of other stuff come down the pipe. Got a special guest with us here besides Random, who's always with me. How you doing, Random?
I'm good.
Or Mecha Random 42, however you want to call
Random's
her.
fine.
Just don't call her late for supper, right?
I know.
And we have Larry here from the Wilk Report. Larry, how you doing?
Hey, glad to have me here.
Yeah, we've had you here a couple times before, but I have you here for a very special reason tonight.
Yes.
And that is because you did a lot of wonderful work. Midnight's Edgeworthy work. Hey, Mary Ashmead, she's in the chat. Looks like the only one saying anything so far. And Film Fantastic and everybody else who's out there. Hello from Chicago. Well, hello to Chicago.
Sorry, we kind of sprung this on you, spur of the moment here.
Yeah, like I said, it was kind of last minute. I've had some personal issues and stuff of dealing with all day. And like I said, we were kind of waiting for Doomcock to finish his stream. And then I wasn't going to go on. And then Larry got a hold of me. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to do this. Steven Anderson, Tim and Flip. There you go. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully a few more people come on in. But while we're waiting for people, we're going to get rolling on this. First, just a little context. Yesterday, was it the Hollywood Reporter?
Yeah.
Or was it Deadline?
Yes. It was the Hollywood Reporter.
Hollywood Reporter did this story
about utter dumpster fire of a story.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Man. And we talked a little bit about this last night because it broke while we were on the stream. And now, of course, Doomcock's had a chance to talk about it. You've had a chance to talk about it, Mecha. We like I said, we talked about it a little bit, but we're really going to break it down now because, as I was starting to say, Larry has done just a Midnight's Edge-worthy job of breaking down this whole entire thing. And he was telling me a little bit about it. And I'm like, you know what? Write it up in a report so I can send it on to Andre and then have him come on the show here to explain it to you guys what he's kind of surmised. Is that the word? I guess. From what you have here in this report and a few other things that you kind of dug into. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, Andre's smart enough that he understands some of the fundamentals for this because Andre's done like serious quantitative research for finance and stuff. So he understands the math doesn't work. But we're going to start on page 6 of this wonderful report. So this guy, he's a PhD candidate. At the time he wrote this at UCLA, I believe.
Okay, yeah, you sit with her. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat so if people want to follow along. I see you got it here in my chat.
Or USC. Went to one school, got a degree, and then he went to the other school. He's a fellow at the Annenberg Foundation, I believe is what it says here. Let me actually pull it up all the way to the top here, so we can read his CV correctly. He's a research fellow, the Center for the Digital Future with the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. So that means that he gets paid to write things like this. And we're gonna go over that. So there's about 5 pages worth of stuff that explains some of the fundamental controversies of the issue. It doesn't get into the actual part that's important for what he's attempting to assert and what the Hollywood Reporter attempted to understand and failed to do so, is on page 6. In this paper, I analyzed tweets sent to the director of The Last Jedi, last 7 months after its release. In the collected data, I have discovered political agitation for right-wing values using The Last Jedi as a placeholder for left-wing positions. Furthermore, it appears that political activists have used bots and sock puppet accounts to troll left-wing fans, and there is even evidence that Russian influence operators have inserted themselves into the debate to exploit and exacerbate the conflict, thereby securing more media attention to the conflict, which again helps spread the perception that America is divided and in chaos. This is all happening because Vladimir Putin is a Raylo shipper, and he has to break this all up because Ryan Johnson didn't give him his Raylo shipping. So, spoiler alert.
It's all Ryan Johnson's fault.
Spoiler alert, that was the thesis statement, and he proves none of that. Now I'm going to read the opening to his abstract, which goes a little bit further to show how what he's attempting to prove and what he's attempting to prove with quantitative data, actual numbers, don't match up. Political discourse on social media is seen by many as polarized, vitriolic, and permeated by falsehoods and misinformation. Political operators have exploited all of these aspects of the discourse for strategic purposes, most famously during the Russian social media influence campaign, during the 2016 presidential election in the United States, and current similar efforts targeting the U.S. elections in 2018 and 2020. The results of the social media study presented in this paper presents evidence that political influence through manipulation of social media discussions is no longer exclusive to the political debate, but can be found in pop culture. So I'm going to reread his thesis statement here in a moment again. I have discovered political agitation for right-wing values using The Last Jedi as a placeholder for left-wing positions. Furthermore, it appears that political activists have used bots and sock puppet accounts to troll left-wing fans, and there's even evidence that Russian influence operators have inserted themselves into the debate to exploit and exacerbate the conflict. So his abstract, what he's telling people, try to read the article, and what he says in his thesis that he's attempting to demonstrate don't line up. He's promising more than he's actually doing the work to deliver. That's the first major red flag we get here. So his method is to test tweets by Ryan Johnson. Excuse me, tweets to Ryan Johnson. He's testing those tweets because it's the easiest way to do this. He didn't look at hashtag Last Jedi because that has way too many people. And it has way too many people because he's using a method called manual evaluation. Basically, he regards tweets as positive or negative or neutral on The Last Jedi based on his personal evaluation of them. So he read a bunch of tweets and scored them. So he picked Ryan Johnson because it was manageable, and he picked Ryan Johnson during the run of the movie. Of course, you then have to ask yourself, well, wait a minute. Would anybody just go up to a producer and say, hey, Ryan Johnson, you suck, you ruined Star Wars, and I hate you? Now, that's not what most people would do. Most people don't go up to the shop owners and say, hey, this ice cream you served me sucked, give me a new one, even if the ice cream is terrible and tastes like chalk. That's contrary to human behavior. So he's not only...
Not all humans.
not all humans, but most people don't like to complain. You have to really be forced pressure to complain, and that's why complaining is a very angry, very vitriolic experience. So he's targeting explicitly those people who are very vitriolic, and he's only targeting them because that's easier for him to do. So now we're going to go into the methodology of the paper. To ensure the dataset was not restricted by adherence to certain hashtags or so large that it exceeded my computational resources to analyze it, I chose tweets addressing The Last Jedi director Ryan Johnson directly. So he retrieved 1,273 tweets tweeted directly at Ryan Johnson's Twitter handle between December 13th, 2017 and July 20th, 2018. Do you think in that 7 months, those were all the tweets that Ryan Johnson got about The Last Jedi?
No.
No,
Obviously
it doesn't.
not.
Also, he doesn't say when he collected these tweets. So that further goes to show there's a problem in his data method right away. If you were doing this for a study, you say, I collected these tweets from Ryan Johnson's Twitter on this date. And if this was the date was after Ryan Johnson deleted his Twitter, he would say, based on X, Y, and Z, I made the determination that these tweets were available prior to this. Because again, you're doing an academic paper and there's a problem with your research, get right out in front of that. So already we're seeing a problem here. And
it sounds less like an academic paper and more like a bullshit sort of thing that like a junior high school kid would turn in.
So, and there was no mass collection tweets since only tweets targeting Ryan Johnson were done. Only information said publicly on studied Twitter accounts have been collected. All information revealed in the paper was immediately available and observable to the public on Twitter during the study period collection, which is these were things that could have been seen when the movie was out. Only handles of subsequently deleted or suspended accounts are revealed in the paper. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there isn't an actual data set for this paper. So you don't actually get to see his data that he's using to base this study on. Now, this was something he's submitting for a journal review. I don't know if the journal has the actual data. I have tried to get him on Twitter to say, hey, send me the data, bro. But I haven't gotten a response from him yet. So that's another questionable element to this.
Well, not only that, didn't you say before that Putin is a Raylo fan?
No, that was a joke. That was a joke.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, God forbid, maybe that, I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe Putin just didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
So the original number of tweets of 1,273 was reduced down to 967. And it was reduced to 967 because he was found a series of several tweets expressing the same sentiment from the same account was reduced to 1. Now, let's say you posted a chain tweet of 12 different points. And you could make 4 of those points be positive, 4 neutral, 4 negative about The Last Jedi. How does he score that? Doesn't say in the paper.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't say in the paper.
Now I have a question for you in just a moment, but I got to say this. Slithering Peanut says you need multiple sources in case that one has made a mistake. This is just normal scientific procedure. It's the same procedure we go through here on Midnight's Edge. We get tons of scoops. We'd be proven wrong all the time, probably, because we go through and we make sure we have multiple sources that at least we have more than one person saying, yeah, I heard that, So, it's just like we heard some of the same shit that other people have heard before too. We just don't always run willy-nilly with it until we get something to back it up. Now, my question for you is, what is the actual percentage that he's claiming had an effect on it?
We're going to get to that in a minute, because we're chipping away at his methodology.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is 967 tweets is what was manageable enough for manual coding and analysis. So while he says he was reducing the number down because of multiple comments of the same type from the same person, it really comes down to the fact that he couldn't manually go through all and score all the tweets. So he then talks about how he evaluated a negative tweet or a positive tweet. He cites one tweet for an example of a negative tweet. At Ryan Johnson, your movie's the worst. I hate you for ruining Star Wars. Hashtag Kathleen Kennedy. Hashtag Ryan Johnson. Hashtag The Last Jedi. Hashtag Star Wars. Hashtag The Last Jedi is awful. So we have problems here. Number one, doesn't say when this tweet came out. Now, there may be concerns for privacy and all that, but if you're doing a thoughtful analysis of this, especially with the implication he states in the beginning of the paper, talking about influence of political actors, Russian bots, that you would have to account for, you would want to know when that happened. He then also goes from an example to talking about common phrases. You ruined Star Wars. Please don't make any more Star Wars movies. Tweets calling the film a travesty, dumb, terrible, career-endingly bad, abhorrent, and awful.
Well, I sent all those tweets, so it wasn't a Russian bot.
I sent a few myself.
So we only have one example of what a negative tweet looks like, and we have phrases. Now, we don't know how he would rate a tweet that has multiple different phrases with multiple different values. He doesn't state that. Other users stated Ryan Johnson had committed a war crime or should be in jail. Only 4 tweets out of the 967 were more gradual in their negative sentiment, with one user admitting to be in the camp but did not enjoy it, though I appreciated the cinematography. Now, first things first, I was reading those tweets back then. There were far more than 4 that were nuanced. I don't know how that happened, how he didn't get those other tweets. I'm suspicious, but we're going to put that to the side. Another calling Johnson a great filmmaker, but also stating, I couldn't disagree with your tweet on Luke Moore. One of the 4 tweets came from a user that adopted a slightly less negative stance towards the film months later. 4 less unequivocal tweets mentioned above were coded as negative. So, again, if a person who later changed their opinion on the movie, then how do you score that? If you're scoring that as a negative, even though they changed later to positive, that's not an accurate representation of your data. And let me read some of the positive tweets just so we can get an example here. At Ryan Johnson, The Last Jedi is a true piece of art. The symbolism and the chemistry between Rey and Kylo is just amazing. Thank you for such a great film. Other positive tweets use words such as great, beautiful, fantastic, and wonderful. So not only is he citing...
So they're just like Trump bots on Facebook.
Yes.
Are you sure they're not all just that like Motron guy who does an unblocking campaign from everybody?
Now, here's the most important part of this section. Finally, a number of tweets can be said to be value neutral in that they engage in discourse on the film, other Star Wars production, or general industry topics without passing judgment on The Last Jedi. How many of those tweets were neutral? Doesn't say. Doesn't say. So, he reduced it to 967 tweets, which is 967 independent accounts, which is where his analysis comes into play. So all that stuff about how he sorted out the things really doesn't matter because, again, you're either a positive, a negative, or a in the middle. Now, he divided the negative into 3 categories, coding them as political agenda, troll, sock puppets, bots, and real fantagonists. Fantagonists is another word we would hear for that would be toxic fandom. Note, at nowhere there is constructive criticism.
Yeah.
I like fantagonists better because at least fan's still in the title.
Yeah.
but nowhere in there is constructive criticism. Nowhere there
it doesn't sound as bad as toxic fan.
Nowhere there is disappointment. So he is automatically assuming by these categories a certain bias before we even get to his data. So he's already biased before he's coming to the data. All right, so now we actually get into some of the numbers.
Right.
And again, we had to cut through a lot of nonsense to actually get into numbers. And he goes into some methods on how he made determinations that accounts were sock puppets, trolls, and bots. These are determinations that are done in different papers that were brought through here. It all seems fairly straightforward. So, okay. Russian trolls, where's the next section at? Because we're totally professional here. All right. In the present study, Twitter accounts were categorized for how many of these criteria they met, how they were large majority of them would be placed in the troll, bot, sock puppet, or Russian troll categories after an extra qualitative inspection. So basically, what he is demonstrating with his data, I have a checklist. If I check so many off, you're a troll. Check so many off, you're a bot. Check so many off, you're a sock puppet. Check so many off, you're a Russian troll. So Russian troll and Russian bot, that's a whole other affair. It also said did not check any IPs. He did not check out anything for anonymization or false identities because he said it is almost impossible to attribute any sort of cyber attack or strategic operation in the online sphere to an actor with absolute certainty. So
right, and it's good you brought that up because it's true. Even not to get political again, but even when you do notice certain things, it's a lot easier to pick out a troll and an actual person who's trolling as opposed to some bot. Because the bots are always so generic, like we brought up before. There's always several key words that pop up or key phrases, whereas troll, the reaction they have to people or the way they do react to people and to get people to react to them. So is what I've noticed. But yeah, sorry, continue.
So of the 967 tweets analyzed, which really are 967 people analyzed, 21.9% have a negative opinion of the film. This includes all negative opinions. Out of those 206 accounts, 44 accounts were identified as bots, sock puppet accounts, and trolls. And also 61% were users who showed a clear political agenda in their tweets against the film. Thus, the number of fans whose tweets were purely motivated by negative stance towards the film is 101 or 10.5%. So what he is stating, based off of criterion that he's applying, 10% roughly of the negative fan response are people who are trolls, bots, sock puppets. and the remainder are people who have a actual negative critical analysis of the film. Instead of putting that in the beginning, where he was talking about his methods, he puts that all the way at the bottom. But let's crunch these numbers here. So 101 have a negative thing of the film. So that leaves 105 that are potential bots and whatnot. But out of that 105, we subtract 61 because that's your uncle who thinks the SJWs are putting estrogen in the water to turn the frogs gay. So we have 44 accounts that are potential bots, potentially part of a Russian campaign. So 44 out of 967.
Yeah.
That works to 4.5%.
Exactly.
Which is almost a statistically insignificant number. But
exactly. Go ahead.
But it's going to get even smaller. Using the bottometer method, mentioned in method section, 11 out of the 206 accounts expressing negative sentiment were identified as bots. So out of that 0.045%, 0.045, 4.5%, quarter he was able to conclusively identify as bots. So that is just to break that number down some more. So out of the negative comments, the bots are less than 0.5%.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And
Warren Roar, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. He says, I haven't met a true fan yet who liked TLJ, not one. Mm-hmm. Well, I've met some people who liked it, but at least most of them will admit that there's flaws. Sorry, Larry, I didn't mean to step on you.
That's fine. And he identified 33 of the potential bots, trolls and whatnot, as specifically trolls for sock puppets. And a lot of them he identifies as right-wing trolls. And he doesn't state specifically how he came to that determination in this article. But we can put that on the shelf for just a moment. And he said 16 of these 33 troll sock puppet accounts appear to be Russians or at least possess several of the Russian troll characteristics presented above. Basically, it means when these things were posted, that their accounts had previous account information and got scrubbed, but the account remained the same. So they're bots. Now, here's where I start to take a real serious question here. We all know spam bots on social media are real. All those beautiful women who want to friend you on Facebook and then talk to you, they're not living in the town that they say they're living in. They're wanting to get your personal information. I know this may be hard for some of you out there to accept, but they're not actually wanting to be your friends. So what is the percentage of these bot accounts out there that are Russian? So if 16 of the 33 troll sock puppet accounts are part of a Russian operation, is that a unusual number in social media in general? If it isn't, then he proves nothing conclusively about Russian influence on The Last Jedi's fan conversation on social media. Further, he doesn't address that in the paper. Now, we break down a little bit more, and he compares this to other things. He found one account where the bot uses clear signs of being written by somebody who doesn't have a strong grasp of the English language, and Russian is their primary language.
Oh, because no foreigner couldn't have not liked The Last Jedi. Right?
Well, right. But so that's 0.1%. So he conclusively proved 0.1% of the negative commentators on The Last Jedi had a high probability of being Russian bots. He demonstrated that a small percentage of a nearly statistically insignificant amount of the accounts that were negative on The Last Jedi had many traits like Russian bot activity. And
that was what I was going to bring up before, because let's face it, first of all, that troll number, you have to cut that in half right away too, because any trolls that you would think are actual Russians, you have to at least give the benefit of the doubt to 50% of them, whether they're trolls or not. They're trolls because they don't like the movie.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a jump to the next segment he attacks, political agenda. 61 accounts could be characterized as having a political agenda. How does he come to the determination? Well, majority of the accounts in this category would tweet frequently and positively about party-based politics, e.g., about President Trump and his administration, or retweet supporters of the president or the president's own tweets. How often do you have to retweet President Trump or pro-Trump sources to be rated as political in this study? Doesn't say. Doesn't say. So is 6 posts from the NRA and 4 from people from the American Way, does that make me pro-Trump? Doesn't say. So that is an additional level of concern here, because he identifies this. He also doesn't identify people who are retweeting things that President Trump says that can be determined more value neutral politically. So he's just saying any right-wing political retweeting labels you a political troll under his study.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he talks about the use of the term SJW. That could have been a useful marker of determining a political standpoint, but that's not part of the method he uses. He's talking about a general political agenda.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I know a lot of people from all forms of the spectrum of the political spectrum, or from all places of the political spectrum, who use SJ.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, like, yeah, there's just so many flaws with the science.
Mm-hmm. So this has an inconsistent methodology. Now, also, something he points out in the political section, in this regard, it's worth noting on how the negative and positive neutral sentiments divide across gender identification. On accounts whose owners identified clearly as female, 108 tweeted positively about The Last Jedi, whereas only 5 tweeted negatively. I have trouble believing these numbers, but the fact that he doesn't actually demonstrate anything resembling a consistent...
If you figure the fan base is probably 2 to 1 men.
Yeah, because I can think of like 10 women right now that don't like The Last Jedi.
But let's pause that for a moment.
Yeah.
So that means that, based on his methods, 11% of the people he studied were women who were positive of The Last Jedi. What that means is that if 50-50 is women, 60-40 is women, that means most women aren't making comments about the movie, which then points to the fact that this is not a representative sample of the audience.
Right, but what you're telling me, though, by saying that, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Larry, but this is where I'm seeing his methodology, and it doesn't make sense to me, is the way he's saying it is if 11% of the women are talking positively about the movie. Hey, Rob.
Come dead.
But then that means there's, 88% of the people of women that didn't watch the film. So right there's 25% to 50%. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of them didn't like the movie.
But wait. It gets better. Yeah. Of the accounts whose owner has identified clearly as female, 108 positive, 5 negative. So he's saying there are only, in that 967 sample, 113 total comments that were a binary gendered female. I don't believe that number.
Binary gendered.
Binary gendered.
Oh, Christ! What did I walk in on?
I'm being technical here because I'm taking apart something that is pretending to be technical.
I will not have you impose your gender assignments on me.
Well, for Rob,
don't you know I have more than one gender?
Well, for Rob and the few people who have joined us since the beginning, because now we do have 90-some viewers in here. What Larry's breaking down is this whole Russian bot paper that this guy did, that the Hollywood Reporter.
I gathered as much.
Yeah, so and he's breaking it all down pretty good here. So.
Comrade, you told me you weren't going to go on the edge of midnight with this paper. I asked you not to go on edge of midnight with these.
Now,
but you go anyway. You owe me 600 rubles now.
Now, here comes the fun part, because this is an academic paper, quote unquote, because he does address his limitations in a single paragraph. Because of limitations of the data set and the less than comprehensive nature of the study, generalizing and extending this to the entire Star Wars fandom should happen with extreme caution. No joke. Not all disappointed fans are Twitter users. No joke. And not all disappointed fans go as far as tweeting directly at Rian Johnson in anger. Oh my God, who would have thought that? Same could be said about fans who view the film positively, of course, which is why the study looks at a specific discourse situation as a measure of the situation. Does he state anywhere that this sort of measurement of discourse has been used in the past as an effective way to measure other comparable situations? Nope. Doesn't state that anywhere in his study whatsoever. It is nonetheless noteworthy that the majority of negativity stems from politicized accounts, which, based on his numbers, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because he doesn't demonstrate that the accounts are politicized and are often part of an organized attempt to disrupt and sow discord using the Last Jedi controversy. However, at no point does he state organization. He's merely analyzing tweets. Analyzing organization would mean he would be showing patterns of retweets and likes, and account X, Y, and Z tend to correspondingly respond to account A, B, and C. So he's not even saying what he thinks he's saying in the paper. So this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is terrible. And then it was given to reporters. I know we have some reporters who are in the audience and in the Facebook group. I'm not saying this as a negative comment on reporters as a profession, but reporters who aren't trained science reporters, when they get a scientific paper, they will generally read the abstract or the conclusion section, and they won't read the actual fundamentals of the paper.
Kind of like how Rob reads the news.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
And that's why.
There we go.
And that's why the Hollywood Reporter article said there was an organized Russian campaign to attack The Last Jedi, whereas it said, well, there were several accounts that were bots and had traits that were similar to Russian accounts, but we can only find one with explicitly using Slavic language misinterpretations of English, which would be the one that would have the highest confidence of being a Russian bot account. So 1 out of 967 isn't significant of anything.
Well, don't get me wrong. Wouldn't bots have perfect English, though? Or at least close to it?
Because they're programmed by people.
Who they're programmed by. But still, don't you think they'd splurge a little bit to get some better dialect? And again, like I say, okay, even if they are, you still got to figure there's still foreign people out there who didn't like the movie. So they genuinely just may have not liked the movie.
Now, again, he was arguing, times of day, proximity, and other things that had been seen in other bot patterns, which could be relevant if he were to argue, okay, how many Russian bots are in a neutral social media situation to set your control group and then make a determination if there is a substantial different number. Didn't do that.
Right.
This
because
study
also, go ahead.
Is garbage.
Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. But I love how you broke it down to actually tell us why it's garbage and why it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because and the number that we give. So even after your figuring of what he says, what percentage do we actually feel is the problem? You said 0.5% or something? 1.5% or whatever?
Yeah. It's a ridiculously tiny number.
Now, when we first reported on this, because this is actually not the first we heard about this, when we first reported on this and everybody raked us through the coals, we said flat out on the show, and nobody seemed to pay attention to that part in the comments. And that was, if there is even a situation where this is happening, the amount has got to be minuscule at best. And the part that really pissed us off was the fact that Rotten Tomatoes was sitting there trying to say, oh, we're 100% accurate. Okay, now this isn't Rotten Tomatoes, of course. This is Twitter. This guy went to Twitter and he did this. Okay, now we've already anybody who's been on Rotten Tomatoes knows that site is wonky as fuck, and it ain't gonna be nothing for a 12-year-old hacker to come in and fuck with shit. But okay, so let's put all this stuff aside. Regardless, you had probably just as many bots or pro trolls on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And as we brought up last night, you had plenty of people who were doing plenty of upvoting and pushing on other people, the same thing. Basically, you almost have to zero it all out because you probably have just as many people on one side as you do on the other.
It's because
doing the same exact thing.
It's all unintelligible garbage because he doesn't have a consistent research method. And because he doesn't show you his research method and he leaves a lot of things up to chance. So you have nothing to interpret it on other than here's some numbers, here's a bunch of, commentary from people in the literary analysis academic field and this and that and the other thing. So it doesn't really tell you anything.
Yeah. Right. And what I was getting to originally was this. Even if there was any bots doing any kind of shenanigans on Rotten Tomatoes or Twitter or anything like that, the effect was so minor that it does not fucking matter. He's missing the bigger picture overall. And like you said,
the bigger picture that a lot of people think this movie sucks. That's
a lot of, if not majority. And I'm willing, most of us are willing, even, people who like the movie, like I said before, will admit that, but.
But I came in late, so you have to forgive me if I ask you something that's already been asked. What is the motivation behind this study? I mean, this guy can't just. This doesn't exactly sound like senior thesis material.
No, and this isn't in his academic discipline either.
Got to that point yet.
This isn't even in his academic discipline either. So
okay, but you're working up to that. So let's just carry on until you get to that. So
I'm going to speculate and hypothesize. Morton Bay works for the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism as a research fellow. And that is an organization with a decidedly left-wing orientation that also tends to be very big on the Russia stole the election hypothesis.
Oh, boy.
So that's another strike here. Also, he says that this was his draft he was posting, and he was submitting it for publication, but he doesn't say who he submitted it to. So
he just typed this up and just said, okay, whoever wants it, come get it.
Well, no, he typed this up and said, hey, here's my rough draft. Hey, Ryan, could you look at that, Mr. Johnson? And
so he's done. Okay.
And Ryan Johnson
for attention, yeah.
And Ryan Johnson, who says, oh, wow, some guy used science to prove that I'm right. I will share this on Twitter.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. And here's the fucked up, most ironic part of the whole thing. Is he's doing exactly what he's claiming these bots are doing.
Yeah.
On the other side. So it's just like hypocrisy at its finest, of course. Mm-hmm. Oh Jesus.
Here, let me I'm gonna send you his tweet also, Tom, in our
But this has been. But ever since this movie came out, though, and people started, you had the build-up to it, the greatest Star Wars movie ever, the best Star Wars movie since The Empire Strikes Back, could be the greatest Star Wars movie of all time. And then when people started to go actually see it, and Tom knows this. Tom knows both of us walked out of the theaters. We walked out more confused than wow.
It took me a while to figure out my feelings.
Yeah.
Also, you forgot the most important opinion about this movie. Did the check clear? Rich Evans from Red Letter Media for the nerd crew.
Yeah. Even though we were one of those accused, it's like, oh, we're very, very, humbled by the fact that you think we're important enough for the Mouse House to pay us. But sorry,
we're nobody. We'll be kidding. But I say, but it just seems like ever since then, it's been this quest for validation from Ryan Johnson, and he's looking for any place he can get it, and this just happens to be another source.
Now, I wonder why this guy knew that he could plug away at Ryan Johnson.
Because he's seen Ryan Johnson's Twitter history with the fans. And I did link something. I don't know if Tom wants to look at it from Twitter here. Basically, this guy tweeted to Ryan Johnson stating that Let me pull it up again.
Oh yeah.
He's basically saying, "Hey, I live near you. If you want to grab coffee, one of the cafes around here, I'd happily show you anyone who spells happily the details about the foreign attacker." He's a star fucker.
Not only that, he's not as smart as he's trying to pretend to be, because that's the dumbest fucking thing I've seen anybody do. And I've seen people do some pretty dumb things.
Who's this guy? Will Wheaton? What's going on here?
I come from an area where "hold my beer" is a general saying. So,
and I also want to say, this guy referenced in his paper Scott Mendelson, who is a reporter who is.
Why am I not surprised that fucking name is?
Oh God!
Sorry.
By the way,
John Campea, is he in there too?
By the way, Scott Mendelson is actually on our Facebook page, and I've read the Hollywood Reporter article because I was reading it from him on his Facebook. I'm just seeing here.
It's like, I'm sorry, but I keep saying it's like what Claude Rains said at the end of Casablanca: round up the usual suspects.
Well, and Rob, I think you've said this before too. We used to respect Mendelson until he became a fucking puppet for propaganda for Disney, and
I'm not sure if he's a puppet. I don't know what his deal is now, but I'm like, he's participating in that woke dick measuring contest that keeps talking about.
Virtue signaling.
And so some other notable things that are very confusing as to why they're in the paper is he put in Kelly Marie Tran's "I won't be marginalized by online harassment," which, while it's a terrible thing that happened to Kelly Marie Tran, has nothing to do with your paper.
I was going to say, how ironic is that? So he puts something next to it that it has nothing to do with what the title is. But anyway,
and the Kelly Marie Tran thing, like if you link that back far enough, that was just speculation anyway. Like that had nothing to do with anything. She, it was just some asshole on Twitter saying, "I think she deleted her account because of this," and every news source ran with it.
Well, and that's what I was saying. The article had nothing to really do with that title.
Yeah.
We do have 2 super chats real quick, Larry. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
John at TNet. Jesus balls. John TNet, $50 Hong Kong donation. Thank you so much, sir. Ruin constantly shows up at galas and events for SCA, and Annenberg hangs out with these idiots all the time. No question, it's a propaganda piece, and the idiot is in Ryan's circle of SJW friends.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Rob, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, Tim Augustin, $5 super chat. Thanks a lot. Good. Rob's here. Rob, play us out with your theme song, Pilot Light. Also, can we launch Ryan Johnson out of a cannon? Like I said, we're gonna have to
both
go
his
with
cannon and him.
Well,
we're gonna have to go with a trebuchet. Like,
we have to fight Ethan for the trebuchet.
Yeah, the trebuchet has more style than a cannon.
Yes, it does.
And a lot of the things he links talks about how much money The Last Jedi made, which isn't relevant to, again, his academic work that he's attempting to publish. So, yeah, after hearing that Brian Johnson likes to hang out at Annenberg events, I strongly speculate it's like, "Senpai, please notice me."
Well, what is an Annenberg? What is Annenberg? I'm not familiar with that organization. Well, one more time?
Give me a moment. I want to pull that up.
Yeah, you cut out on me too there, but okay, yeah.
I would actually pull that up. USC Annenberg Media. Here we go.
Okay.
Because I want to read from their thing here. Let's see if there's a good About Us page that I can pull up.
Yeah. Really, I'm just killing time so we can rip on Brie Larson again.
Well, it's basically the School of Media Policy at the University of Southern California. So it's all about, media and media issues and news.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm curious. I'm looking up something. Carry on while I'm looking this up. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Here we
Okay. I thought for sure Kathleen Kennedy would have gone to USC. She went to San Diego State University. George Lucas did go to USC though.
Yeah. So that could be that could be a big connection. Hey, don't forget, Mark Harmon of NCIS fame went to I think he went to USC and played
well,
football
USC
there.
used to be a shit school.
No, he went to UCLA and played football there.
I was gonna say USC used to be a shit school until everybody like Spielberg and Lucas and all them come out of there. Then everybody thought it was great. You know, I mean, it was around for a while. I take that back. It wasn't a shit school. Sorry, pardon my French there. It just wasn't as prestigious. Okay, that's a better way of putting it. Because before that, it was just kind of, why would you go to school to make movies?
Oh, wait. Guess who went to USC?
Is it Ryan Johnson?
Ryan Roundhead, you motherfucker Johnson.
Of course he did. All of them do now. It's like the thing you do if you want to get into movies, man.
Wow. So yeah, that's that. So I don't know what he's submitting that to. They have 2 in-house journals. You can probably get this through the journal because it's a graduate letting a graduate. But yeah.
Actually, yeah, Tyan Ranger actually brings up a good point. Why would the Russians care to take down a Star Wars movie? I understand the whole big thing. You want to create this media, this culture war, but I mean, does it really matter?
So,
well, like I said, God, the movies, maybe they're just Russian trolls as their day job. So well, the way they do things. I'm
going to fairly represent the position of Mo Russian bots, even though I made a derogatory comment about it just there.
Right, but you get bots everywhere.
Right, but here's the theory. Russia is using bots to amplify social divisions to prevent the United States from being able to use soft power effectively because they're unable to get together political will.
Which is bullshit, because it didn't take anybody else for me to hate The Last Jedi. It took just one person, Ryan Johnson.
Right, but The Last Jedi is part of it. Star Wars. Anti-vaxxers, and they play both sides. That's the theory, anyway.
I get it. And then you're going to get into political stuff. But yeah, I get you.
No, but on the other side of the coin, Russian bots are also all about, can I please have your credit card number? Oh, no, I'm totally legitimately your friend, and somehow I have been kidnapped in a foreign city. Can you please wire me money?
So are guys from Ghana pretending to be a girl named Wendy.
Yep. Yep. So you can't take a Russian bot attacking a movie as being part of the Russian bot intelligence operation, which you can argue the legitimacy of that thesis all you want.
Well, I think he's... Go ahead. Sorry, finish.
That's not crucial to what I'm arguing here. Is that the guys who are in the people who are really mad about the extended universe, they could have put together some money and hired some Russians.
Even if they did, that's the thing. Is I think this whole thing is overlooking is it doesn't fucking matter. You still had a very organized group of people on this side of the ocean that didn't like the movie, organized with people, and the proof is in the pudding. The way Solo was a reaction, and this is something we always say on Midnight's Edge. It doesn't matter how much this movie made; it matters how much the next movie made.
Yeah.
And the only exception to that rule would be Justice League. And that's only because you can't factor in Wonder Woman. You have to take Wonder Woman out of the equation. Because Wonder Woman even debuted at lower than expected high. You know, it didn't debut as high as they expected.
Right.
But word of mouth carried that movie throughout the summer.
And also, when it comes to Solo, we talk about the boycott in the We Hate Kathleen Kennedy ecosphere.
That's what I was
going to boycott isn't necessarily a large number, but here's where the boycott really matters. Tom, who has a nerdy friend who's super into Star Wars and all that stuff, and he says, man, The Last Jedi disappointed me. Tom's not going to feel, that he has to go see Solo. That Solo's going to be an event movie. So the fans who are your fan ambassadors, the people who hype it up, make every one of your movies a cultural zeitgeist event you have to go to, like Avengers Infinity War as a prime example of what you're wanting to shoot for. If those people are disappointed, there is going to be a certain percentage of casual to moderate fans who are going to go, I'll skip it. So the haters, even if they are only 20% of the total audience, or the vocal haters are only 20% of the total audience, there may be people they influence, and there may be a broader correlation than just those people. So, the bottom line is, if you have 20% of your people who are angry, and they tell a whole bunch more people, it's bad for your product. It's bad business. You want to make everybody have at least a neutral experience with your product when they walk out of the movie theater.
Well, it's like the old shampoo ad. You know, they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on. I mean, that's how word of mouth spreads.
Exactly.
And that's the most important thing. It seems like this is all discounting.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a proof. I can tell you now. There's proof. The fans got together and they proved to Disney. They proved a point. But Disney's not seeing what's going on. They're just saying, "Oh, Solo's selling well on video." Well, here's what happened, guys. You had a boycott of people that didn't go, like Larry pointed out. You know, I didn't like The Last Jedi, I'm not going, or they flat out, you know, told their friends don't go see this, or same thing. You know, like, you know, a lot of people come out of Solo saying it's boring, it's dark, it's dreary, it's not that much. Blah blah blah. So you had all these people that didn't go. They're buying it now on video because a lot of people did see it. That did see it eventually. You know, be it through downloading it or seeing it through a friend. Eventually they did or they just, you know, they're going to give them their money, but they're not going to give them to it at the theater. They're still kind of my point I'm getting to, that I'm babbling on about, is that they're still proving that they can come out in numbers and support Star Wars by not going to see it in theaters, but they still supported it on video. I think that was kind of a message to them saying, look, we're still here, so you better pay attention.
Also, during that run-up to the video, there was a very big rumor that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be fired. The Rian Johnson experiment was going to be over. So you may also have had some of those boycotters buying the Blu-ray to try to signal to Disney, hey, we're happy with you making these kinds of potential decisions. We won't know for certain what that tea leaf says until episode 9 shows up.
Well, the other thing too, I keep saying is that Solo is. I've been saying for months that Solo is actually going to find a home on home video or like on basic cable, because there's less of an investment when you watch it. I mean, like I said, it's you don't have to drive to the theater. You don't have to pay for tickets for kids.
Well, guys like World Class Bullshitters and Red Letter Media and anybody else who does a commentary for stuff like that is selling these movies too.
Also, remember what Anthony Mackie said. Look, I can have, you know, what I want to drink, what I want to eat, what I want to smoke. I have a nice theater system at my house. I don't have to deal with other people's kids. Exactly.
And I keep saying that Solo, the real problem with Solo was besides, you know, the fan backlash, was they overshot the mark for what it was really supposed to be, which was a TV movie.
Oh yeah, it feels like a big TV movie. Absolutely. We got super chat again. John T. Net, thank you so much. Another $50 Hong Kong super chat. Told you before, Tom. Ruin worked at EVK, one USC's cafe back in the day. Shit food, get newsletters all the time. With his Spielberg's donation back in the day, brought in tons of SJW as well. Didn't Spielberg put AJ through school too?
I'm still not convinced this Ruin Johnson trilogy is happening. I'm really not.
I don't think it will.
I mean, I'm leaning to. I thought.
Oh, I think you're right. I think Kathleen Kennedy was the compromise.
Yeah, we listen. We're keeping you on. Get rid of this guy.
I think so. I think that was more so to the fans. It's like, all right, eventually we're going to say, Brian's going to come out and say, I just don't have the time, or I didn't have a take on it, and blah.
You notice he and his writing partner have said, well, we don't have a story yet.
Yeah,
he's working on a whole other movie. Yeah, so
that's a good sign.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, he's working on that other movie with Meryl Streep or something.
Yeah, and Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Well, he did a video or something with Sissy Spacek and Daniel Craig, and I think Meryl Streep might be in the movie. Yeah, I don't know if
I'm just too busy with this new movie, so I'm gonna dedicate my energy.
And then he'll turn around that or this. He'll turn around and say, I just deal with the harassment of the fans.
He'll blame us. Be like, they're toxic man baby fans bullying me out of making Star Wars.
Because you fuckers, we're not getting Obi-Wan, we're not getting Boba Fett, now we're not getting Rian Johnson's trilogy. Thanks a lot. Now we'll never have Star Wars ever again.
We already got one.
I've said this before. I've said this about Star Trek, and I'm going to say this about Star Wars. At this point, I'd rather have no Star Wars than bad Star Wars.
Yes,
I really would.
But
and on the flip side, if we have good Star Wars, you can show me 3 Star Wars movies a year.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
Well, Marvel's proved that.
Yeah.
And people bring that up in the chats all the time.
I said, to me, Star Wars is like seeing Paul McCartney in concert. I mean, you could go once a month and see him if it's a good show, if it's a good set list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but as soon as he does a bad show, I'm like, that's it. I can't do this for a while. I mean, if these movies are good, then I don't see a problem. But like I said, they've had maybe one good movie out of how many they made? What they've made for like 5 now.
Well, statistically, The Force Awakens was fairly well received. I know there's a lot of people who don't like it, and thank you, Sil Creatori. There we go. $2. Ruin Johnson is looking for a fanfic to rip off.
Yeah,
his own fanfic. That's what it is.
There's a alleged theory that he lifted a lot of ideas from a popular Reylo fanfic.
Yes,
I've read that too. Yeah.
Well, we see a screen name in chat. I was like, Laura Ryan stole my fanfic story. So,
but one of the things I'm afraid of though is that this paper study, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's going to give more ammunition to like the sci-fi.coms and the Scott Mendelsons and to all the other morons out there who are going to use it. Look, we were right. People really don't hate The Last Jedi. It's all a scientific fact. Yeah, exactly.
So this is just a general rule. Whenever you see a science article featured in a news magazine or a newspaper, if the reporter talking about it isn't a scientist, just assume everything he's going to say about what was in the paper is wrong.
Yeah.
Or most of it. Just assume that.
Just the stuff that you kind of even broke down, most graduate students should know.
Yeah.
As far as you ever wrote a paper, if you've ever done a thesis or anything like that. And that's why I'm glad you did it, because I mean, we go through so much stuff all the time here, but this is not something that I could really. The numbers just I got jumbled, and that's why I'm glad you did it. And
and also he wanted to write a qualitative paper where he didn't focus on data, because most of what he wrote is talking about different theories about fan analysis and folklore and stuff. That's what the bulk of the actual paper is. But he needed some actual data to make it look like he was talking about something. Because you could talk about, how The Last Jedi is the corollary to Plato's Republic and the allegory of the cave. And, you could do that. And most people in social science will go, well, that's great. But what are you actually telling me? You're telling me that this is a lot like something that Plato wrote, which means that Ryan Johnson absorbed the ideas of Plato that are deeply embedded in our world. Good job. So you need something in social science, a lot of people feel, that has numbers that you can prove. But he didn't actually do that.
No. Plato, the whole allegory with the cave, that's something. Hipsters always seem to trot that out when they want to look actually smarter than they are. But that only tells me you've spent 1 week in a philosophy 100 class.
Yes.
Well, what do you think? What do you think Ray falling into the dark forcingness was?
How do you like them apples?
I thought that scene with the mirrors. I thought he ripped that off from Enter the Dragon.
Hunting.
Well, he did that too. He was taking a lot of Hong Kong ideas out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. The whole thing with Luke being the reluctant master, that's a Hong Kong movie. The sequence in Snoke's throne room, that's a Hong Kong movie. But again, he took some of the visual cues from Hong Kong movies, but he didn't actually take the story beats. Because in a story beat, Luke is the reluctant master coming back to save the day. He actually fights.
Yeah, which he actually
and then the bad master kills him, and so the student then becomes motivated in the next movie to get revenge or find the better way.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? The whole thing about the cave, I thought he was just ripping off the tree from The Empire Strikes Back, which probably is the same thing as the cave allegory, but still at the same time.
Yes,
it was done a lot.
Johnson way too much motherfucking credit. We give him way too much fucking credit when it comes to this shit. Because let's face it, as much as we were afraid Empire Strikes Back or The Last Jedi was going to be a ripoff of Empire Strikes Back. It is. It's only backwards.
Yeah.
And he subverted our expectations by doing pretty much the same fucking thing.
Yeah. Mahler actually has a great take on it. He says it's episode 6. It's the end of episode 6 and the beginning of episode 5 with this weird kind of thing in the middle. Otherwise,
it's really flip-flopped if you think about it.
Otherwise, it's called. Otherwise, you know it as Frankenstein's monster.
You take the Darth Vader part, which would be where Rey finds out that she has no parents that are worth a shit anyway, and we find out Snoke because that's in the middle. That should be near the ending, but otherwise, or the beginning.
It's the beginning of episode 5, then the end of Return of the Jedi, then the middle of the Empire Strikes Back, then the beginning of the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
that's the running order.
And we talk about how we don't want to write a better story for Rian Johnson than he's capable of writing for himself, but a central point: Rey shaking hands with Kylo being the end of the movie. That could have been the Luke, I am your father moment of the whole movie. But then Disney would have to at least say, well, maybe our big cash cow character that's really popular with young girls is going to embrace a Nazi. Disney's not going to do that. But Rian Johnson wrote an implication into the script that might happen. Then he had to pull it back for the ending of the movie to make it something that fits Disney's marketing.
It's my movie.
And that's what an intelligent person would have known, so that shouldn't have happened, because you want narrative consistency.
Yeah, there is none. There is none in this film.
But yeah, so again, an important life lesson anybody out there in the audience can learn: just assume anything, even social science news reporting, is going to be wrong, because the person who's going to report on it doesn't know what's going on.
Right. When you don't have a controlled environment, like the crazy Wild West of the internet, there's no...
I mean...
You can't really base your analysis on anything. It's so...
If you were doing legitimate research on this topic, you could take 2 or 3 interns. You could do an analysis of the
general idea. I give
comments.
You that. Yeah.
You could have done that, but you would have had to have actually put in the work. You would have had to be consistent about things.
But this whole thing reeks just like, a guy going, a doctor or a scientist going into an experiment, wanting a certain outcome. And no matter what, even if he knows that the process is proving him wrong, he will tamper with it somehow to come out some way that he wants it to, no matter how bad he can't. It's like, trying to prove that water isn't wet.
Yes.
And
yeah,
it's like what happened with the prequels. There were people who were diehard defending the prequels, and a lot of those people changed their mind over time, and a lot of the people who hated the prequels, especially after Last Jedi, they started to say, well, maybe the prequels weren't bad in hindsight.
I haven't really changed my...
Yeah, they're still not good.
Yeah. I can handle like the last...
They're not good, but there's parts you can pick out of them that...
Yeah. I'll watch most of Phantom Menace and then I'll skip through real fast the middle part of episode 3.
Well, episode 2 and 3 put me to sleep every time. Like, at least Phantom Menace, I have like the Weird Al song.
3 felt like 3 to me was like a date with a really hot chick where you get to about third base, but you don't get to go all the way. And I know that's a really weird analogy, but we get what I'm saying. It was like it had majority of what you want in the third story where you're seeing Darth Vader become Darth Vader, but it just didn't give you that excitement you were hoping for, because I got numb after a half hour of Obi-Wan and Anakin going at it in CGI.
It's called edging, when they kind of bring you right.
You watch way too much porn, Rob.
I do watch way too much porn.
So also, how badly is Venom gonna crap the bed?
Oh God, it's gonna. The only question is, what size bomb? Hiroshima or Nagasaki?
Nagasaki.
And here's where I'm at with this whole situation with the movie. I love Tom Hardy, but I'm not watching that movie in theaters because I want Sony to fail so that they will give back the rest of the Spider-Man characters.
If I do, I'll pay for something
Disney.
else.
Why? Why would you want my Venom movie to fail? I don't know. What did I do to you, Larry?
And here's going to be the first movie, and I don't know how long. And I'll even be honest about this. I wanted to go into Ghostbusters thinking I was wrong and that this movie was actually going to win me over somehow.
Oh, no.
And within 5 minutes, I was like, that ain't happening now. This movie, I'm not even going in with that mentality. No fucking way. I've heard more than enough to know it's a piece of shit money cash grab. And typical of Sony.
If Venom was a rated R movie, I would have gone to see it.
That would have been at least one point of merit. But now what's pissing me off, and let's talk about this because we haven't really talked about it, is all these, it was going to be PG-13 all along. No one ever said it was going to be R. If you type in R-rated fucking Venom movie and get past the first half a dozen stories that I was just saying, where they say, oh, it was never going to be R, it was always going to be PG-13. Go back a little bit, say 2-3 months. Bullshit. There's like a dozen or better articles. I quit counting after a while because it's like they're all about how Venom's going to be R-rated.
And those all came out when the R-rated superhero movie was the hot trend.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're trying to play it off. And this is exactly what's happening with Deadpool. So I'm glad you kind of brought it up because this ties in what we were saying the other day. This is exactly what's happening to Deadpool. They seen that Deadpool 2 did okay, but it didn't do as well as the first one, and it cost more. So what's the typical move when you have this happen in a franchise? You bring out a cheaper PG-13 version.
Yeah.
So that in hopes that more people can go see it, including the kids. That's what this Deadpool 2 thing is all about come this December, is to test the waters to see if parents will bring their kids out to Deadpool if it's PG-13. And if they will, then mark my fucking words, X-Force or Deadpool 3, whatever the hell it's called, is going to be PG-13 in theaters. Now, there may be an unrated version on video.
But those unrated versions aren't really unrated.
Yeah, they're just stupid.
They're like one or two saucy scenes.
I'll be honest with you, there's very few of those that I really say yes, you must see the unrated version.
And
you know what I mean?
Let's also further mock the fact that they want to do a Kraven the Hunter movie. The central point of Kraven the Hunter's movie character is, I'm the greatest hunter in the world. I poach animals. Nobody can stop me, but that's not good enough. I have to not just hunt people. No. I'm going to step that up a notch. I'm going to hunt superheroes.
I thought you said hump. But
yeah,
anyway, we're not going to go there.
Well, look, he did kind of go through a period of time where he tried to eat Spider-Man with cannibalism.
Yeah.
We're not going to dive too deep into that, but
symbiote would that only be half cannibalism?
Yeah, and but how are you going to make Kraven movie without a superhero for Kraven to be driven by?
Since the symbiote steals Spider-Man's powers, wouldn't that be kind of like the equivalent of fucking yourself if you were able to?
Yeah, but now they're retconning that in the comics because.
Okay, I'm not gonna go any farther with that. But yeah, thanks, Mary Ash. You're at Mary Ash being Midnight's edging after dark because she said edging again. Yeah, we gotta watch our mouths here, people.
No, we don't.
But Rivers2727 says, what did you expect from Tom Rothman? Guy hates comic. Oh, no, it's going too fast. Jesus, guy hates comic book movies. He's the reason why Deadpool's mouth. Here's the thing with Tom Rothman. We're lucky we're getting Venom at all, but I don't mean to say that in any way. It
was approved before Tom Rothman came on board.
Exactly. It's like, actually, if he was smart, he would have shut it down, and I would have been on board with him.
Oh, that Deadpool, he had such a potty mouth.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to give this, and you guys are going to have to sit down, most of you out there, for a moment if you're standing up or working or anything like that. Tom Rothman has been the best thing that's happened to Sony since Coca-Cola.
They're not losing as much money.
Finally, somebody appreciates me.
And it's not because they're doing a bunch of sequels either outside of Jumanji. It's because they're doing Tom Rothman movies. Baby Driver is a Tom Rothman movie. These kind of movies are the movies that he usually goes after.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to cut him down for that. He found his niche, however you say that.
Look, you make a low budget or lower mid-range budget movie. You merchandise it and you market it cheap. Boom, you're making a profit. If Solo was only like $125 million, it would have just narrowly missed making a profit in the theaters, and it would have made a profit in the DVDs.
If you don't count the Spider-Man years,
this
is the best Sony has done since Coca-Cola owned them back in the 80s.
Yep.
And back in the 80s when they were pumping out shit like Stripes, Stand By Me, Fright Night, God, there's tons of them I can't even think of. You know, Ghostbusters, of course.
Well,
Also,
the 80s was so good for movies, period.
Yes.
Also, Fright Night had one of the worst reboots ever, which disappointed me so much.
Yeah, I don't know what's good on that.
It should have been good. David Tennant playing the character that should have been great.
It had all the right elements to it. Don't get me wrong. I love as much as people don't seem to like him, Colin Farrell. He was a perfect choice.
Yeah.
Anton Yelchin, another great choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, instead of sticking to the story and making something that was enjoyable and, you know, tongue in cheek and fun like the original Fright Night, it was just kind of too over stylized and dumb. But yeah, we need to wrap this up real soon. But go ahead, Larry.
Also, one comment from the chat: Evernum mentioned that Upgrade basically did the entire gimmick of Venom on a smaller budget and already came out.
Pretty much. I haven't seen it yet, but from what I've seen, yeah, you're probably not wrong.
You should treat yourself and see that Upgrade was a very good movie. It should have done better.
It looks good enough. I'll wait till it goes down to the second tier price, and I'll buy the Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah, they'll have Black Friday specials
or Black Friday. Yeah,
it's almost that time.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
It's like I seen like I remembered that Dakota Fanning movie the other day where she's the autistic girl who writes the Star Trek scripts.
Mm-hmm.
I think I brought this it was on your channel, Mecca, or was it on
I can't remember.
Doomcox, or was it Gary's, or it was off. It was off. Either that or it was off when we were talking. Yeah, I know. I can't remember which day it was, but it was just the other because I looked it up on Amazon. It's on Blu-ray now. It just came out in May. But yeah, that one that Rob and I talked about a while back about Dakota Fanning in it. She, I don't know if it's a true story or not, but you know, they used to accept fan scripts from people.
Loosely based off of the story of the creator of the Mary Sue.
That just really made me not want to see it.
not the Mary Sue, the terrible website. I mean Mary Sue, the fan fiction character.
The reason we brought it up is because I was reminded of how they used to take scripts from fans for Star Trek episodes, and they just recently and for some reason I don't know why we didn't really talk about it. Did we, Rob, or didn't we? Where they announced now with Discovery they are no longer accepting fan submitted scripts. I don't think we talked about it.
What's the difference? All of them are fan level scripts.
Anyway. Steal it anyway. That's the problem.
Well, no, that's what I think always kind of helped keep Star Trek so fresh and different. And that was one thing that was unique about it. It was one of the places where they always did accept, like, you know, if somebody out there wrote a good script. I know they got a lot of their writers from that.
Yeah, isn't that how Ronald D. Moore started out? Like he sent in a fan script. Her face
too. God damn it, name escapes me.
It wasn't DC Fontana. Popular. Was it DC Fontana? No.
It might have been. I think that's where she got the name from. She used to submit it under that name, but I couldn't.
Yeah, because she didn't want to be. She didn't want the stigma of you're a woman.
And see, and at first I thought that's who that Dakota Fanning movie was about until I seen the actual preview for it. But no, the movie looked different. I don't know if it's worth buying for $16, and that's what made me think about it again. Was
when I saw the Flash Thompson kid, I said, "All right, I'm out." So I hate that kid. I hate that motherfucker.
And also, what's his face? That guy who
Slithering Peanut says it was DC Fontana. I thought so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's his face? That comedian whose name is completely escaping me. Patton Oswalt's going to be in that movie about the autistic girl, and there's going to be a whole scene where he talks to her in Klingon.
Well, it's out already. That was what we got figured out, is that it's actually out on Blu-ray already and stuff too.
Patton Oswalt is like Waldo these days. He turns up everywhere.
Yeah,
he's in everything. He's jockeying for like the king of nerds, and he kind of lost that throne a while back.
He's on Rick and Morty. He's on Community. He's on
Oh, look, Will Wheaton's lost his shine, so maybe...
He was on the Weird Al show before he was famous, dude.
Yeah. Well, Patton Oswalt kind of lost a lot of my loyalty when he went after James Rolfe with the Ghostbusters crap.
That's exactly what I was just talking about. Yeah, that's why I said I lost a lot of my respect for him after the whole thing. And yes, I understand his late wife wrote like one of the drafts of the script or whatever, but come on, man. He should have known better. Yeah. Then his ass does that voice for that fucking video game that I said I was going to review, and I still haven't yet. Here's my short review. It sucks.
Which video game
it had potential, but the VR game.
Oh, that Ghostbusters one. Yeah. Oh, God.
That it took them a whole year to do the second chapter of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish they would re-release the PS2/PS3 game at some point. Just you know, or even just put it up on the.
Are you talking about the one from
the one with the actual cast?
The Xbox 360 one. I have it on Steam, but you can't get it anymore because of the licensing.
It's been available in various areas, but yeah, if you can pick it up anywhere, do it, because I doubt we'll ever see a re-release of that.
Yeah, just get it used. Find it on Amazon.
They've been trying to erase it.
Yeah, probably.
So do you, I have a great way to end the recursive snake of our current pop culture.
Okay.
Apparently, a friend of Mark Kavanaugh's who was allegedly...
I thought you were going to say push the button, but go ahead.
Who was allegedly in the room when the alleged sexual assault happened.
Was it Squee?
It was Mark Judge, and he actually posted some comments on some bulletin boards that were pro-Gamergate. Ergo, you must acquit, or you must convict. Really, people, really, you know, the things that are important in real life, Gamergate isn't one of them. Gamergate was a small number of gamers. It's not the thing that's destroying the world. Stop pretending that Russia is ruining Star Wars to destroy the country. That's not a thing that's happening. Stop it.
Yeah.
Get some help. It's the Michael Jordan meme.
Star Wars is ruining the country? Oh, no.
The Russians are ruining Star Wars to destroy the country.
No, Rian Johnson ruined Star Wars.
I was going to say, no, we don't blame it. And like we've been saying from the start, it doesn't matter. Even when we said that, reported on this originally back, 6-7 months ago now, actually almost a year almost now, it's insignificant. It's insignificant next to the power of the Force. I know all of you are thinking that.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. Even if it's true, it doesn't matter. And that's what we said then. But then everybody's like, oh, you think it's true Russian bots? Or no, we're just saying that it's, even if it's possible, it's still stupid because it doesn't matter. There's still going to be this percentage that doesn't like the movie and percentage that does. And you're never going to get an accurate gauge of it. That was another thing we kept bringing up. And again, it was a whole thing defending that Rotten Tomatoes was defending itself, which I'm sure by now everybody understands starting to understand what Rotten Tomatoes is. At that time, still, there was a lot of people out there who didn't understand what Rotten Tomatoes is.
Yeah.
It's just an aggregator. It's not a person. It's not an entity. They're not Roger Ebert. They're a whole bunch of Roger Eberts. And now they've even, I guess they're allowing YouTubers, which we should check into that, Rob, to get on there. And because
really,
yeah, you can use the Facebook stuff if, yeah, or I could probably. I don't have Facebook, but
apparently somebody on my Twitter says that Ron Howard, before this quote unquote study came out, also blamed trolls for solo tanking. So maybe,
well, he's not wrong.
Yeah. He's not entirely wrong.
It depends on how you define trolls, though. And that's what I was trying to say with the whole Russian troll thing. Does it really matter if they're hired or not? Because
Rob, can you do a Bill Clinton?
What?
Everybody.
Can you do a Bill Clinton impression?
Oh.
Well, it all depends on what the definition of is.
It all depends on what the definition. It all depends on what the definition of is.
Well, Bill,
did you say jizz? No, is.
No,
is,
that
I'll
one.
tell you. The definition here is that the movie sucks. That's all there is to it.
I told you, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. I haven't touched Hillary in years.
We don't care. We don't care. We would be more disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. Woohoo! Bring on the interns. Obama out. Let me tell you, white devils. All right. But one thing I gotta ask. I mean, how is this gonna lead just to studios selecting more generous critics? I mean, because I've noticed there's actually
they already did. Remember when in the late 90s, early 2000s, or even later than that, when Sony got busted for creating fake fucking critics?
Yeah. But I mean, and I know all about the press junkets and everything like that. But I mean,
and I'm sorry. I mean, I know we're Midnight's Edge, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I got to finish this thought though. I know we're Midnight's Edge, but it's like, come on, man. I don't need to see something.com's fucking what they thought about a movie. They are not a prestigious critic to me. I don't consider myself a prestigious critic.
Yeah, but I trust what you guys say more than I do what like Swankmotron says or Nerdist or any of those people, because I know you guys aren't being paid or you're not getting free tickets.
One thing I've noticed though, I mean, there's a pattern emerging that there's sites like IndieWire and and things like that, and Sci-Fi actually has a few. No,
but the ones I understand IndieWire, I get them. Slash Film, some of these ones that started as magazines and then became bigger websites than they were magazines, that I can accept. Ones I'm talking about, it was the www.mycrack.com says.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like some fucking shit you've never heard of before because they actually found somebody who said something decent about the movie. Look at like Valerian. I think there was a lot of those.
Yeah.
It was like mysci-fi.com says it's the best movie of the year. It's like,
but there's always this one writer for IndieWire. I think her name is Shannon Miller or something like that. And she always, I mean, she gave The Last Jedi a glowing review. She gave STD a glowing review, and then she always follows it up like, well,
if you got an STD that's glowing, get the fuck to the doctor.
Yeah, exactly. But she always follows it up with,
glowing, Doc?
You do know that that this is for millennials, and we're that it's blazing a new trail for women and representation.
I remember when Star Wars was for everybody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What about us? What about the old people who were here all along?
I got a feeling that we're gonna see. That's all we're gonna see now is that they are going to select. Okay, we want these critics here because we know they're gonna appreciate the wokeness of our wokeness.
Well, why do you think Grace Randolph and all those guys? Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I predict they're gonna focus all the best critic slots. The critics that are gonna get greased up real good for Captain Marvel are going to be all the female film critics.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's why my video got demonetized, because I was a woman and I said I don't like this message of the future is female crap.
It's got to be something you put
random.
In the title or the
random. You only got a few months to raise your profile for us. Okay, we need somebody on the.
I do got to get.
Well, get me to 10,000 by the end of the year.
We'll get you there.
Yeah,
sadly, I got to get going, but we do have 109 people watching, so I don't really want to go away so soon. But yeah, we got to wrap it up here real soon. But let's get some questions from the audience real quick, Rob.
Sure.
Before we do go.
Yes. I said
it'll take a minute so you can do your thing. Yeah.
I was just waiting to like, when can we rip on Brie Larson again?
Well, I have a plank of wood emoji on my channel.
No, we're not allowed.
Why not?
Cause
no one said anything that I couldn't rip on Brie Larson.
The Wilk Report. Yo, Mike is in the chat. How you doing, Mike? Show up right at the end. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
But Larry, that was a very insightful breakdown again. And if you do have a paper version of that, I definitely got to get that to Andre. So.
I'll write up some notes for review, but it was pretty simple and straightforward in the video.
I'll probably just send him the video, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Rivers
thoughts into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I saw it. I'm still not. I don't like Miles Morales. Try as you might, I don't like Miles Morales. I'm sorry. No, I'm not even going to apologize for that. I don't like Miles Morales.
I know some people liked it, but I didn't care for the animation style. That turned me off right a bit.
It looks like the Walking Dead Telltale game.
Yeah,
a little bit.
The animation is jerky. It's there's not a whole lot of frames per second. It looks like they're cutting corners. And it's crammed full of every spider character in the world.
But to be clear, I get it. It's supposed to be a style. Go ahead, Larry. I think.
Well, no. I mean, if we're going to see a Spider-Man animated movie, why not Miguel O'Hara in the world of Spider-Man 2099? We're already in a cyberpunk dystopia.
That makes fucking sense.
Yeah, we're living in a cyberpunk dystopia today. Why don't we just see where that road ends?
Mm-hmm. Tim Augustin, who won the hand-egg game Sunday. Well, my team didn't. And according to Random, it's sports ball, yes. Steven Anderson, no jack shit about Miles Morales, but is this some kind of Crisis on Infinite Spiders?
No, the premise is that they've created this concept which owes a lot to John Michael Straczynski's runs on Spider-Man, that there's this broad supernatural connection of all the spider characters and all the spider people. And the introduction to Miles Morales is going to open up the door to this independent animated movie series based around that concept.
I just wonder what is the excuse going to be if this movie's terrible? It's too woke. It's too woke. You're racist. You don't want to see a black Spider-Man.
It's gonna do fine.
He's also Hispanic though, so Rob, you can take your pick. You can not like it because he's black. You can also not like it because he's Hispanic.
How about I don't like him because he's a little douche? How about we start there?
How about I'm just sick and tired of new Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, shut the fuck up! Get out there and kick some ass!
How about we just deal with the fact that we have a Spider-Man that finally is decent and works in the MCU and leave that alone and quit fucking with shit? Sony,
let Disney make money for you. Let Disney just keep doing it, make money for you, so you just sit there, collect money for doing nothing.
Yeah.
So all you did was took the chances of Venom being in the cosmic phase.
You're undercutting your own thing here. I mean, geez, you're competing against yourselves now. Killer B, have you guys noticed CBS All Access ads on Reddit? They seem to be pushing the fact it has NFL games instead of Star Trek. Yeah, the NFL makes more money.
Well, yeah, we said that. Well, yeah, Rob and I brought that up quite a bit.
Your other option is get ESPN streaming.
That more people are going to get the shit for the football.
Yeah. That's what should have always been your opening play for CBS All Access.
Get the NFL, stream the NFL live. Yeah.
But I don't think they had the license last year. Wasn't that what it was, Rob?
No, they have the AFC package.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. So it was in some areas.
Tim Augustin, when's the next STD therapy session? Is Andre's goatee fake? Is he secretly Tom Rothman? Well,
that could be an interesting plot twist.
I'm not getting into anything, Tim Augustine, but you've been paying a fucking attention.
Yes, you have.
I'm not going to say you're on the nose, but you're close. Very, very close, sir.
J3.0, it's not about making money.
Oh, but,
Sony just wants control. They must get off on that. It's about making they have all these characters in their stable still, and they want to exploit them.
I better get on animating that.
The Wilk Report. Can I get on the Trek Log cartoons? Maybe.
We already have them actually. It's in animation mode right now, but we're thinking about something for the future. So that's very possible. You never know.
Hey man, when you go to animate us, man?
That could be something.
Robots?
Hey, that could actually be interesting though for episode 9, an animated Midnight's Edge little teaser for the train wreck of episode 9.
Well, Doomcock kind of did that for Solo, but yeah.
Thank you. Spider-Man 2099 was an excellent comic. It would have been far better movie than Miles Morales movie. Unfortunately, I'll point out Miles was created for millennials. Seems like anything that's created for millennials sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's like, why do they have to loot everything?
It was created by Brian Michael Bendis, I think it was, because he had some adopted Hispanic kids, and he wanted to have a comic book character that was for them.
So why did it have to be Spider-Man? Why couldn't it have been like...
When I pitched my sitcom to NBC, I sent in a video. It was a video pitch submission, but I got to see all of the finalists, and you don't know how many of them were a group of millennials are living in the big city. A millennial finds out her life is a disappointment. A millennial, I'm like, you guys are. Work on it being funny first, rather than who. I mean, it was just all millennial this, millennial that. I'm like,
why hasn't anybody tried to replicate the Seinfeld formula?
Oh, they've tried. It's that they suck at it.
Well, not only that, it's just too PC now.
Yeah.
Here's my take on it. Everything has turned into what they used to do in Saturday morning cartoons. when they would make a adaptation of a movie. You take everything about the movie and you wash away anything to sanitize it. In the end, basically stripping it of any uniqueness it had in the first place, making it only safe for 3-year-olds and those who are buying toys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really what they've come to now, where it's like everything is that way. Perfect examples. Look at the TMNT movies. Both of them are rated PG-13. Yet nothing in them is even remotely as realistic or close to being like the original comics as the 1990 film, which is rated PG, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a time when PG-13 existed. They could have taken it that extra step.
Or here's something that could be interesting. What about a black and white R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic that's based off the original movie based off the original comics?
Those would be a hard R.
The hard R.
Fuck yeah, I'd be there. There's a reason why in the UK and stuff they changed the name from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, because ninja actually means assassin. They were specifically trained, and Splinter says it on the first or second page of the comics.
Yep.
You were trained to assassinate the Shredder.
Yep. Yep.
Kick his ass. Not, take him to the cop shop. You were trained specifically to kill this man because he killed my owner, and now I'm getting revenge. Exactly. That's what it's all about.
And also, for some reason, Matt Murdock was also here.
Well, yeah. He had a part in it.
What was actually the first comic in that universe, right? Actually, there was actually a comic before that, Fugitoid.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the Fugitoid shows up later, yeah.
Yeah.
They actually did Fugitoid before, which is really the fugitive. Yeah.
There's
so you guys were talking about Venom and Rotten Tomatoes, and I just got a wild hair up my butt to go and look up their Rotten Tomatoes score for Venom. And anyone want to take any bets?
Well, I think it opened in a few places overseas already. What does it say?
30%.
Oh, that's better than I thought it would be.
That's not good.
But okay, we're missing the important thing here. There's something up Random's butt. So,
well, it was the wild hair, and yeah.
Yeah, what's up, Doc? Then I almost did the Predator joke.
All right,
Predator isn't up there.
Well, the first Predator, when Shane Black comes up and goes, "My wife's pussy's so big," I said, "Why, honey? Your pussy's so big. Your pussy's so big." You didn't have to say it twice. I didn't.
Also, we should also say Happy Inktober for those people out there who like to draw.
Oh, Happy Inktober! Just before Rocktober and Lobster Fest and Toyotathon.
Rocktober! I love that South Park episode.
The Wilk Report says invite me to chat. Oh no, I don't know. I'm almost done here.
I was gonna say I gotta get rolling here, unfortunately. We should have left a little bit ago, but next time for sure, Mike, we gotta get rolling on this. Thank you so much, Larry, for breaking this all down for us. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. I'm glad I was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Mike, you can find Larry over with Mike on the Wilk Report.
Yep.
And Random, of course, Mecha Random. You can find her on her channel. You can just click her on the in the chat there. Robo Shlomo, you can find him to his TV channel, and of course, always here on Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. And of course, me, the same thing. Is that not correct, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
You, Rob.
Yes, it is correct. Yes, and as always, click the subscribe button, click the bell icon, head on over to Patreon. Check us out over there. Patreon's members can support the channel for as little as $1 a month.
Woohoo!
And you will, yeah, you can get all kinds of bonuses. You get outtakes, bloopers, early notifications, mini documentaries, lost episodes, uncut audio, behind the edge making of videos. Find out the story of how Midnight's Edge came to be. And as always, if you don't have the means to support us on Patreon, click subscribe, click the bell icon, share with your friends, let the ads play. Just check out for a couple seconds while the ads are playing, and just let them play because we get a little kickback for that. And as I always say, we cannot do this without you. And check out
everybody for the super chats.
Thank everybody, John Tonette, Tim Augustin, everybody.
Speaking of Tim Augustin, you need to sing a song for him, sir.
You need to sing us out.
The pilot-like song he wanted to hear.
And I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in. But my pilot light shining, pilot.
I was gonna for you.
Shining bright and
Yay! Thanks a lot, guys.
Seriously, okay, you know what? Seriously, if you like that song, go on iTunes, download it. It's by an artist named Dave Derby. Throw a little money his way. Actually, he's got some pretty good stuff. Check him out. Until YouTube finds out, I'm not paying royalties on that, so you might as well send a little something his way.
Thank you so much for all the people who bought my song. Now quit playing it.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Mike, for showing up finally at the end there in the chats. Thank you, Mary and Tyler, for handling the wrench duties in Mecha 2 when she shared a few things. So, Rob, take us away.
Yes, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks to our Wrench Wench. Thanks Tyler Bioshock. Thanks everybody in the chat. Mecca, the Wilk Report, Tom, and myself. We will catch you next time.